With MIA Microflight once again, and in this video I'm going to expand on a line of airplanes. This is the MIA Icon UL series of RC airplanes that I did many years ago, and the name Icon UL is referring to the iconic just the iconic pilot that I've been using on a lot of these products that I've been manufacturing, for since my microflight got started back in 1999. So that's where the icon comes from, as well as some of these components that I employ in some of these designs. For those that have bought my any of my products, you'll especially the microlights, ultralights, you'll see that I use certain components that have become a trademark of the features that I employ in the assembly of these models and products. And so that's where the word icon in UL stands for, of course, ultralight, because these are indeed ultralight in all the sense of the word ultralight series. And series because when I created this as a series of airplanes. You can see here, let me start with this one right here because it's the more prominent and obvious because it's all built up and it's got the wings there. So this is actually the MIA Easy. It is part of the same series, but in this case I labeled this one Easy VCUL, which stands for MIA Easy, for Easy Assembly, Vector Control, Ultralight 1.0. And the 1.0, 1.25, 1.5, 1.75, 2.0 is referencing the particular size of aircraft, because for those that have one of my 1.25, for example, RC ultralights or microlights, you'll see that's a 1.25 is typically a 1/5 scale, which comes out to about a 60-inch wingspan, which is about a 5-foot wingspan. So that's where those designations come from. And I did that years back. When I established my microflight, I started forming all these naming conventions series, as well as the particular sizes that I was going to do at the time and also in the future. So a lot of the stuff is not new; it's stuff that I've had for many years. But you can see here the different types. That is actually a tail dragger. This one is just a trike or tricycle landing gear type, the 3 wheels landing gear. This one shares the same wings as this one right here. So all these wings are interchangeable. Not didn't have to make wings for every single one of them, but I like doing that so that everyone's independent. It's got its own wing, and that way I don't have to swap the wings, dismantle one from the other, although it's really easy to disconnect these wings and remount them on the other ones. For anybody that has bought, for example, the MIA GWS ultralight conversion kit, you'll know exactly what I mean by having these wings interchangeable. In the way that I make these connections, to the wings, very easy. From a connectivity standpoint, from an assembly standpoint, but also from a maintenance and repair standpoint, because if something happens to the wing and you don't want to be, for example, with a balsa model that is glued, every joint is glued. You once you crash that, you may as well trash that. Not with these airplanes. None of my stuff is done that way. So there's a lot of thought in from that perspective. Same thing, when you buy ready to fly or plug and play type models, those things are done, those particular products are done for mass production. And so the companies that mass produce those products, they're not concerned, they're not concerned with the details that I've been employing in a lot of my stuff. They're more concerned with how can we make this product sort of a bit of attractive, but also more than anything profitable, because bigger companies rely heavily on profits. Everything is driven by profits when you work for a large company, corporation. Not the case with MIA Microflight, because I'm an independent, and it's surprising that I had lasted this long 20 almost, more than 25 years in doing this kind of work, under MIA Microflight. And prior to that, I was under MIA Designs, which is the same name that I carry through my email. That's where that connection comes in, because I was MIA Designs to begin with. And so I got started making the rubber powered helicopters, and I went into free electric helicopters, free flight electric helicopters. Then I went into radio control micro, sub micro, palm size helicopters. And then I went and brought all my RC auto gyros, ultralights, microlights that I did way back in the late 70s, early stuff that I already had done while I used to work for a communications company as an engineer. While I was working, typical 8 to 5 job, I was at the same time, I would come home and start designing all these things just for on the weekends for fun, but also with the intent that at some time or at some point I would have to detach myself from that that type of environment and go on my own. I would have all these things already in place, and so that's how I got started. None of this is overnight type thing. All these things have been planned from way back in the day. And that's basically how I think companies, especially small companies, can survive. You have to have a business plan. And to me, my business plan was that already. I had already established not wanting it to be a business plan in the sense of in the scope of business talk. But I had already done all these things, and that was my plan: is to bring out all these things that I could not find back in the day. There were models, but they were not to the level that I thought they should be from a durability standpoint, from an aesthetical standpoint, from a realistic standpoint, from a performance standpoint. So when I formed my MIA Microflight, I selected three particular names: performance, durability, and realism. That are associated with MIA Microflight. If you look at my logo, and the characteristics that all my stuff represents, they're based on those three key characteristics. So as I was saying, just a little history on that, and so a lot of this stuff is not new, basically. But anyway, getting back to this, you can see that this one is a vector control, ring vector control, and I did this as a tribute to the full scale vector control RC Ultralight that was manufactured, not manufactured, but it was built by a gentleman that unfortunately he passed making all these experiments with his aircraft, but he actually came up with this ring vector control full scale ultralight. And when I saw that, and I, unfortunately, when I heard that he had passed, I used to follow him and his work. I decided to do this little model on, as a tribute to that gentleman. I forget his name because it's been a while since I did this model. I don't know, when did I do this? This probably has a date here somewhere. No, unfortunately, I don't have a date on this, but I did this way back. I don't know, maybe 15 years ago or more. So, and it's been sitting, I flew this to check out the video that I did. I did this in a local field of a high school here near where I live, on a beautiful calm night. They were watering the lawns or the grass in the field. And I just happened to, do a flight there. While the janitor of the school was doing his work, and I asked him, hey, can I fly here? And he said, yeah, go ahead. And he actually really enjoyed watching my model fly that night. It was a beautiful night, and I did a great video. Check out that video of this. Just type MIA vector control ultralight, and you probably stumble on a few of them because I did it at flights on various locations. Same thing with that one. I did this in a schoolyard field, just a great school field right behind my house. I flew that one, and also that one with the with the same swapping the wings. Um, you can see this one here. This is the way that I used to make my my parts before. This is vacuum form. That's also vacuum form. It's got a just to give it a little more detail. I employed this on a few of my early microlights, the 1.0 size, because this is all 1.0 size, if you will. Well, basically, it's about a 40-inch wingspan, two-cell operation. And from there, you can just imagine, the scale on that. And like I said, it uses a lot of these components and parts that have become trademark parts on a lot of stuff that I have done with respect to the connectors, with respect to the hinging and the things of that nature. But basically, these are the models that that I designed way back, and I end up doing my own upgrades in a sense with this one over here, which is what you're seeing here. It's an upgrade, if you want to call it an upgrade or a revamp of that model right there, because that was done. All these models are done with very lightweight, of course, carbon rods, Depron foam. This 2 millimeter Depron foam, and I was using basswood wood sticks, quarter-inch wood sticks for the frames, which are great, from the perspective that these the wood stick is basswood wood sticks has decent rigidity in torsional rigidity, meaning it you have to really have to twist it to get it to twist, unlike a carbon rod, which kind of flexes a little more. It's more durable, more it has a greater tensile strength, but torsionally it's not that as good as a square wooden rod. And so when you work with carbon rods, as I did here, revamping that to that, you have to reinforce it, triangulate certain areas, and that's why you're seeing those rods there triangulating to the tail section so that the tail does not wobble or move. But basically, that is a revamp. As I say, I've been doing my own upgrades to my own products, but I've also done upgrades to other products. For example, the Auto G, an auto gyro that was manufactured by Hobby King back about 12 years ago. When I saw that product, I go, man, I can make it. I tested the product, and it had some quirky tendencies to flip over. So I made some enhancements to the performance of that, but also to the aesthetical and mechanical features of that product, and I came up with several upgrades, which were seen by an individual by the name of Stuart Warren from Hobby King. He came to me. This is back in 2021, with the notion that he was interested in lifting my upgrades to put it on a version 2 of that Auto G, with the agreement that he would give my name credit, for the lifting those upgrades, and also product, the actual product prototype. He was going to send me prototypes in the process so that I can get my so that he can get my okay and opinion and any further enhancements. He wanted to hear that from me. All this sugarcoating talk in his emails. I have his emails, so he can't hide and he can't lie about things. The way he approached me, he's been watching all my stuff, and he logged my ultralights, my microlights, and he could see those as a plug and fly, or plug and fly, or plug and play. I guess you can call it that. But anyway, he was really interested in my stuff. He had seen it, basically salivating all over my all the stuff that I have done, and freaking guy ended up lifting my all my upgrades with no credit and no compensation. Like I said, not even a copy of the product as he promised. He went silent after I started noticing that there was something funky was going on with that conversation with him via emails back in 2021. And then he sent me an email that he has spoken too soon, that the product was going through some changes. They were going to implement something before they would send me the prototype so that I can critique and okay my upgrades. Never heard back from that guy. Recently this year, I stumbled on a video that came out about a year ago, because I have not been too keen on RC auto gyros, because I've been working on or doing research or looking for videos online. So I stumbled on a video. I go, wow, they actually came out with a version 2 Auto G with all my upgrades and no credit whatsoever to me. So I called them out. I sent them an email not too long ago, June 19, 2025 this year. And I told him, hey, well, what gives? What happened? And he sent me an email. He goes, oh, didn't you know? I sent you this email on October 20, in 2023 saying that we're going to go ahead with the production of the model. And I'm like stunned, by not so much stunned, because I always have my reservations when I deal with people like that. That they went ahead, and there's no communication whatsoever prior to that. And then when I asked them, I go, we were supposed to collaborate, because that was, that was his original communication with me via emails and for the agreement. And when I asked him to, what is he going to do about that? No, silence, crickets after that. So that letter that he sent me, that he never sent me back in October 2023, it's total bullshit, because he just wanted to cover the fact that to cover the fact that they went ahead, without my approval on the upgrades that they implement. My upgrades, which are very obvious to anybody that has bought my upgrades, for the original Auto G2 that are now on the V2. So unscrupulous individuals like that need to be called out, and I'm not afraid to call these people out when it needs to be called out, because one of the things about my company and why I have survived in the midst of all these big giant corporations that manufacture RC microlights is the uniqueness in my products. Number one, my honest intent in doing something different. That was my goal when I established MIA Microflight, and that's been my goal to this day. Continue to do that. And you can see in all the stuff that I have produced. That's why I do these videos too. Is to showcase all the stuff that all this cool stuff that you're not going to see models like that from these big companies unless they copy my stuff. Which companies have done, in the past, and I have had, the same dilemma with some of these corporations, just lifting ideas and lifting stuff like this. I rely on full scale models. I get inspired by full scale models, but even the more scale stuff that I do is done my way with re-engineering it from the ground up so that it works as a radio control model, so it's durable. Because if you scale something, if you want to be just do the same thing on the full scale on the model, if you resize everything, which is kind of silly, because imagine a full-scale model that has rivets, a lot of rivets, on the tubes, for connectivity, drilling through holes through tubes. I don't do that. You can't do that in a model if you want it to last, if you want it to be durable. So I employ my own techniques that I've done, through heavy experimentation throughout the years, just making these things and testing them, flying, crashing, making them better and better and better every day, every time, every year. So so that's so a lot of the stuff that I do is from the ground up. There's no I don't need to rely. When you're truly an artist at heart, and it shows in the work that you do. And you can just watch all my videos. You don't need to rely on companies. One of the reasons why I am on my own is because I did work. I said that I used to be an engineer for a communications company, a prominent company, and then from that, doing 11 years of that, in several capacities, I went to work as an independent freelance artist, sculptor, and product developer. And so eventually I got hired. I was hired. I used to be hired as a freelance, and then one of the companies kind of hired me full time because they really liked the stuff that I was doing, and they brought me on board, and so I went to work as a full product developer there. When you work as a product developer for companies, you know the ins and outs of how these companies operate. And so when somebody comes to me, they may think that they're trying to pull the wool over my eyes, but they can't, because I've been there, done that before these guys were even born. So for this guy, and I'm addressing this video, is also a point of reference, to this guy that just lifted my all my upgrades. This guy Stuart Warren from I believe he's I don't know if he was hired by Javi King or Durafly, but he is according to his emails, he's a product developer for both companies. But this guy was not. I don't even think he was coming on behalf of Javi King or Durafly. I think he was coming with that pretext just to get me to provide him with information, because the first thing he did was ask me, hey, has anybody, I noticed that you contacted Javi King before. How does he know that? Number one, that I contacted Javi King, but he didn't know for what reason I contacted Javi King. He came to me, it's like those cops, that they pull you over, and then they throw you all these, hey, I smell, I smell alcohol here, when indeed there's no alcohol. They're just trying to trick you into answering and giving them information. Same fucking bullshit, that happens with these fucking people. Pardon my language, because it is upsetting. And it's got to be called out the way it should be called out. And this freaking guy, he started with my questioning. Hey, is anybody come to you, with talks of possibility of cooperation, and and when I thought about that, I go, wait a minute, why is this guy asking me that? I go, yeah, I went to Javi King originally to see if they can provide me with product, on a mess up quantity basis. That I was asking about those things, but this guy was basically just trying to find out if somebody had contacted me on a cooperative basis. Nobody has. And this guy just wanted to know if somebody had done that. He probably would have stayed away, from trying to lift my products. But since nobody did, and I was very honest in my response, I said no, nobody did, because I thought this guy was legit. But what a scumbag. So anyway, that's how these things are. And so it is worth mentioning something like this. And I'm doing this video, and I don't care how long this video is. And I don't care if I only get one view out of this video, but these things need to be said and need to be called out. And I'm not afraid, like I said, to call scumbags and people that are unscrupulous out, because they need to be called out. So anyway, getting back to my product, I don't want it to deviate so much, but it has to be said. Those things in view that I do these things, and the point was that I do my own upgrades to my own products. And I've done many, I've done dozens of upgrades to other products. People that know my stuff, that have bought my upgrades for the micro helicopters, they know what I've done. With the micro helicopter in the micro helicopter realm. When I was doing that, my interest is no longer to do helicopters, because I've done that. I've done that already. Been there, done that. I'm past that point. There's no point in me going back and doing the same thing that I already established, myself originally, before any companies were producing micro helicopter products. I was doing all these kits, selling them as kits, to begin with. And when the micro helicopter revolution got blown out, all these companies making products, similar products to the ones that I had already offered as kits originally through a lot of the internet forums and online. It was common sense. It was normal for me to just take my original designs that I had done for my original micro palm size helicopters and sell them as upgrades for all these other helicopters that were coming out, from they were basically less durable and less appealing. I made some really cool upgrades, and for E-Fly, for Wakira, and some of these companies even lifted some of my stuff, in their future upgrades. Same thing that this guy has done, with the Auto G version 2. Same freaking thing. That's what these guys do, because they themselves cannot achieve the stuff that I have achieved as a single person, single designer, single company, single man, and they know that. But they think because you're a single person, you have no power, because you don't get the views that they get the views by association with all these companies that throw ads and all that crap. They think that one person does not have that power. Oh yeah, we do have the power. The power of our voice and our pen. So these assholes need to be called out. And and once again, pardon my French, but I cannot say it any softer, because it is upsetting when people do that. Okay, having said that, I'll get back to I'll get back to my designs. So the point was that I have done my if I can do my own upgrades, revamp my own products. Of course, I can do upgrades for other products, and you can see the level of aesthetical appeal that my ultralights have. I mean, you're not going to see this in any of the products that are out there. This is a two-cell operation aircraft. I have similar ones done with that level of detail and scale, and even more on some of the 1S ultralights. If you compare some of the 1S ultralights that are out there by these bigger companies, they're nothing more than wings with sticks, and that's it. Very similar to the GWS slow stick when it first came out, and why I decided to convert that into an ultralight. And I sold hundreds, if not thousands, of those kits, throughout the world for the GWS slow stick. But this is the kind of stuff that MIA Microflight is known for. And anybody that has bought my stuff already knows this. The decent customers, because I do have some customers also who are not ethical. And I have customers that buy. I have to question when a customer buys my products consistently. I come out with one kit, one version. Then next year, let's say I come out with another one. They buy the same thing. But I have to question, individuals who buy 2, 3 at the same time. The only time, and this I can relate, because when I was a product developer, we used to get 2 models of this, two models built by the sculptor or the artist, or we used to buy two products from another company, so that we can look at it and see what things we can improve on and what things we can embed. And this I'm saying as a product developer, which is if you work for an ethical company that's going to remain, you don't want to lift those things. You can certainly get inspired by things, but when you start boldly lifting things, from other companies, that's not cool. But the point is that you're not going to see this level of detail and this level of aesthetical appeal, and even in the way that I assemble and I design parts, 3D printed parts. I've seen airplanes that are fully 3D printed parts, which is kind of silly, because one good crash, that's it. The 3D printer, on top of it, it's heavier. And that's why my models fly great. It's because they're very lightweight. And ultralights is, I'm very pro ultralight airplanes, done in the as simple as possible, without diminishing the structural rigidity and appeal. And so that's basically what you're seeing. What I just described is what you're seeing in my models. And like I said, you're not gonna find airplanes like this unless they're being copied, from my designs here. So this is a revamp in carbon and 3D print parts of the wooden ones. And it's not that the wooden ones don't work or are not any less better than these guys here. It's just a different materials, a different look. But all these airplanes, they fly great. You can see I've had these for years. The fact that they're lightweight also allows them to be more resilient, to if you happen to crash, because they're not going to crash as a heavy model, so the damage is very minimal. There's a little bit of scuffing on the wings that I've done. You can see that wing. If we look at the edges, because sometimes the model tips over on the wings and gets scuffed, and even that I have protectors in it that I've designed, for these airplanes. In fact, this one is going to get those protective wing tips, but you can't go too heavy on that, because now you make the wing heavier. And anytime you put weight on the wing tip, you're basically removing some of the natural stability of a light wing. Why birds fly great, if you look at a bird, is because their wings are so, the feathers are so lightweight. Imagine if those wings were heavy, they would not be able to flap as, with efficiency. Same thing happens here. We're not flapping the wings here, but the wing has to be very lightweight. On a just a basic 3-axis ultralight, microlights, flex wings, same thing. Even a rotary wing like an RC Auto Gyro, and I show that in my Roto Trike series that I just did not too long ago, in the videos on with that particular product. So this is one of the latest ones that I've been doing. I've been working on and just revamping a lot of my original stuff that I've done many years ago. Mario, once again, stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.